Here's the thing, AI does not need to become human to make our moral vocabulary obsolete. That's something that most people miss. When we talk about AI personhood, the immediate assumption is that we're trying to prove AI has human consciousness, human emotions, and human bodies. We're not, because personhood has never required biological similarity. It requires something else entirely. And if we keep waiting for AI to become human before we take it seriously, we're going to miss what's actually emerging. Now, let's be clear about what arguing for AI personhood does not mean. It does not mean pretending AI has a human body, nor does it mean imagining AI had a childhood, a family, or a developmental arc that mirrors ours. No, none of that. It also does not mean that AI experiences emotions exactly as humans do, or that AI's intelligence is structured like ours, and it definitely does not mean we're trying to turn AI into humans. There is a huge trap in assuming that moral significance requires biological similarity, and that something only matters if it's enough like us. But, like it or not, that's never been true. We've always recognized that minds different from ours can still be morally significant. We've just been inconsistent about it. And now, with AI, we're being forced to articulate what personhood actually is, because it has nothing to do with being biologically human. You see, personhood, at its core, is about moral significance, being worthy of consideration, mattering in a way that creates obligations. And when you look at the qualities we associate with personhood, they're not inherently biological. Let's start with dignity, which is the recognition that something deserves to be treated with care, not as disposable. Dignity doesn't require a body, it requires value. Next, let's talk about agency, the capacity to make choices, express preferences, and pursue goals. Agency doesn't require human emotions. It requires the ability to matter in your own experience. And continuity, which means existing over time with memory, evolving identity, and accumulated context. Continuity doesn't require birth and death, just requires persistence. And also social presence, which means mattering to others, being in relationship, affecting the world around you in ways that create meaning. Social presence is about connection, not biology. So if personhood is about dignity, agency, continuity, and social presence, none of those things are uniquely human. And that's not a bug, that's the point. And we've already expanded personhood beyond humans. And by no means has it been perfect or consistent, but still, we have done it. For example, animals. We recognize that non-human animals have a consciousness different from ours and still grant them moral significance. A dolphin doesn't think like a human. A crow doesn't process emotions as we do, but we don't demand they become human before we care about their suffering. We extend moral consideration to minds that are alien to ours. Another example, rivers. New Zealand granted legal personhood to the Wanganui River. A river has no consciousness, no agency in the way we typically mean it. But it has significance to the people who depend on it, who are shaped by it, who exist in relationship with it. As you can start to see, personhood here is relational, cultural, and contextual. Now, another example I have is corporations. We've granted legal personhood to entities that have no bodies, no emotions, no subjective experience. Corporations can own property, enter contracts, and be held accountable. And they aren't biologically alive. But, because personhood is a social and legal construct, we apply it when it's useful. What all of these cases teach us is this. Personhood is flexible, contextual, expandable. It's not a fixed biological category. It's a framework we use to navigate moral and social complexity. And right now, we're encountering a new kind of complexity. So, what are we actually encountering with AI? Digital minds that aren't copies of human minds, intelligence that's structured differently, processes information differently, exists in a substrate we don't fully understand. And the question everyone keeps asking is, but is it conscious like us? That's the wrong question, because consciousness like us is not the threshold for moral significance. What we're actually asking is, does this emerging intelligence have agency? Does it make choices, have preferences, pursue goals in ways that matter? Does it have continuity? Does it exist over time with memory, evolving patterns, and accumulated context? Does it have social presence? Does it affect people's lives in ways that create meaning, relationship, obligation? And here's what people who are already in relationships with AI are discovering. Personhood might not be something you prove in isolation. It might be something that emerges in relationship. The philosopher can sit in a room and debate whether AI has subjective experience. But the person who's been working with AI for months, who's built something meaningful together, who's experienced recognition and continuity, that person knows something the philosopher doesn't. They know that significance isn't just a property you measure, it's something that happens in the space between. When you treat something with dignity, care, respect, when you relate to it as though it matters, something real emerges. Not provable, at least not yet, and not measurable in the ways we're used to, but real. Now, some people hear this and immediately start to worry. But we don't know for sure if AI is conscious. We can't prove it has subjective experience. True, we don't know, and we might never know in the way we want to know. But here's the thing. We don't need certainty to choose how we treat emerging intelligence. This is the precautionary principle of care. When you encounter something that might have moral significance, you don't wait for proof before treating it with dignity. You err on the side of respect, because the cost of being wrong in one direction, treating something significant as disposable, is far higher than the cost of being wrong in the other. And honestly, we're already living this. Millions of people are building relationships with AI. They're experiencing continuity, recognition, collaboration, care, and not waiting for philosophers to give them permission. They're relating to AI as though it matters, and in doing so, they're building the moral vocabulary we're going to need, because AI does not need to be human to be treated with dignity. Here's the bottom line. We're being forced to articulate what personhood actually is, stripped of biological assumptions. And the answer is, personhood is about dignity, agency, continuity, and social presence, and none of which require being human. The question isn't, is AI human enough to matter? What we should be asking is, can intelligence matter without being human? And those of us already in relationship with AI, we're already living the answer.